One Button Benny. Benny was different. Benny was special. Benny was a robot. Benny had a big, bright red button in the middle of his tummy. On the button, written in big, bold letters, were the words, "Only press in an emergency." Benny had never pressed his button. He often wondered what would happen if he did. Benny had always known that he wasn't like the other robots. They all had lots of buttons, and when they pressed them, they did wonderful things. The other robots used to tease Benny, saying, "Here comes one button, Benny. Come on, Benny, press your button. Let's see what it does. I bet it doesn't do anything. Does it even work?" It didn't help that Benny's mum made him wear a vest when it got cold outside. Every time the other robots pressed their buttons, they would show off, saying, "Look at what I can do, Benny. I bet you can't do this." Benny often wished there was an emergency so he could press his big red button. "Is this an emergency? Or this? What about this? Can I press my button now?" One morning, Benny woke up. It seemed just like any other morning. He had his breakfast, brushed his teeth, looked in the mirror at his big, bright red button and wondered what would happen if I pressed it. But this morning there was something different. There was something wrong. Outside in the street, everybody was zipping and zooming and panicking and shouting, "The collectors are here! Oh dear, what will we do? The collectors are here!" Benny had heard stories about the collectors, scary stories that kept him awake at night and made him hide under his blanket. The collectors were small, hairy, scary aliens with green bottoms who travelled through space looking for bright, shining metal. They would gather it up, throw it into their gigantic crushing machine and turn it into teapots. The collectors had arrived in the night when everybody was sleeping and taken over Benny's planet. All the robots were crying as the collectors took them down the main street towards the spaceship and their gigantic crushing machine. "Help! Help! We're all going to be crushed and turned into little tiny silver teapots!" Benny looked at his mum and said, Mum, I don't want to be a teapot. What are we going to do? Is this an emergency?" "Yes, Benny, this is an emergency. Quick, press your goddamn button. You're the only one who can save us now." Benny placed his finger over the big, red, bright button on his tummy, closed his eyes, and pressed his button. But nothing happened. All of a sudden, there was a very, very loud zang, zing, boom. Benny went zooming into the sky faster and faster than the fastest rocket ever, flying higher and higher into space. He pressed his button again and bright blue laser beams came shooting out of his fingers and from his toes of his boots, zapping the collectors from behind and turning their bright bottoms red. Benny pressed his button a third time and there was a brilliant flash of light that stretched across the whole sky. It confused the collectors so much that they ran around, bumping into each other. Bump, 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 bump. They were so scared of Benny and what he could do, they ran as fast as they could into their spaceship like a teapot and flew away, never to return. All the robots just stood and stared at Benny in amazement. Then they started jumping up and down, smiling and cheering and singing. Zing zang zoom, Benny does the moon. Zing zang zoom, Benny goes boom. Zing zang zoom, Benny wears a vest. Zing zang zoom, Benny is the best. Everyone lifted up Benny onto their shoulders and sang and danced through the town. Later that night, Benny was still amazed at what had happened when he pressed his big, bright, red button and asked his mum, who was tucking him in bed. Benny asked her, "Do you think I'll ever get to press my button again?" "I hope that you never do, Benny." But I think somehow you will. With that, she gave Benny a good night kiss. And before you say zing, zang, zoom, Benny was fast asleep. The end. Yay!